Hello everyone and welcome to the first Age in Spain residency live session. Thank you everyone for tuning in, or if you're later watching this as a rebroadcast, thank you for checking the video out. The point of the session today is, as the title says, talk about residency, talk about the points that interest us the most, and hopefully solve some answers, give some answers, also read the comments, and hopefully have a productive time with everyone watching now or later on. Just to recap a bit, I'm Marc Garcia. I'm from Age in Spain, as you probably know, which is a charity, an organization that helps elder people live fuller lives in Spain. Back earlier this year, we were given funding from the UK National Support Fund to start the residency project in Spain in the phase of the EU exit to help UK nationals prepare for the eventual exit from the UK from the European Union, and focusing on the residency rights, which all of them are covered in the withdrawal agreement. But it was clear that the UK nationals needed some coverage in that matter in order to get their papers sorted out. Age in Spain, since June, has developed its project. It has created a residency helpline where you can call us, you can send us an inquiry, or even send a message in Facebook, and we will answer to your inquiry as soon as possible and as well as we can. We have a knowledge base that is available on our website, and it's also available through the inquiries. And our goal is eventually to cover every single possible doubt that you can have regarding residency, regarding healthcare access, regarding even how to exchange your driving license. So to kick a start today this live session, I will tell a bit about what is the main points of today's session. We will be talking a bit about the Brexit implications, what are the deadlines, what might come after. We will of course go to residency and its requirements, how to start a residency application from scratch even now, mid-December, or how to get an appointment for your TA, or what are the implications, which rights are ensured and protected under the withdrawal agreement. We will go into more details on the sufficient economic means, which is a matter that is bothering a lot of people and that has caused a lot of headache, I know, in several applications. So the goal will be to hopefully clear a bit that matter as well. And finally, I will be reading your questions and answering them, hopefully in a satisfactory manner. But if not, you can always write back to us, and we will take our time to do the proper research and hopefully get back to you as soon as possible with the proper answer. So let's start. Brexit implications. What means the exit from the EU for UK nationals living in Spain and also in the rest of the EU? Well, as you know, there is a withdrawal agreement in place that was agreed between the UK and the EU earlier this year. What this implies for residency rights is that they are protected, that current residents in Spain are protected by the withdrawal agreement. What this means? In theory, this means that if you're a resident in 2020, a legal resident with your residency card, imagine that you arrived 2 years ago, you got your residency card, your green card, or even if you have your A4 green paper, it means you're a resident and therefore you're good to go. In theory, 2021 will come and you will continue living as you used to. Now, what happens with everyone that wasn't a resident? Well, this is where things, I wouldn't say complicate, but where people need to take some action regarding their situation. So if you were not a resident and you were living in Spain, the most important thing is to sort out that matter, so to get a residency card. On the 6th of June of 2020, the Spanish authorities introduced a new TIE, which is the acronym for Tarjeta de Identidad de Extranjero, Foreigner's Identity Card, specific for UK nationals. This TIE also specifies that UK national is covered under the Withdrawal Agreement clause. So it means that if you get that card, you will be from now on identified as a UK national that lives in Spain and that sorted out their residency before 2020. This will ensure that from the 1st of January next year, you don't have problems accessing any services, entering the country, which is something that is bothering a lot of people and later we'll talk about, etc., etc. So as I already implied, this deadline is December 31st this year. Although, if you, for example, you started your residency process, let's say earlier this December, or you're even about to start it now, let's say that you have an appointment to present your documents on, let's say, this Friday, so past mid-December, you will still have started the process on 2020. Therefore, you've been legally living in Spain before 2021. And that means that even though your TIE, your resolution probably will come out on 2021, you are also covered by the withdrawal agreement. So I want to stress that probably the most important part of all this is to just get the process started. Gather your documents, present them, get an appointment, or even if you can't get an appointment, which at this point is really complicated in some provinces that we cover, for example, Girona, my recommendation is or to get someone who has a digital certificate to present it for you with the proper representative form, or sadly we don't like to recommend this really, but sometimes accessing professional help at this point would prove useful because you don't really have that much time left. So with that said, what do you need exactly to start your residency application? Well, one of the most important documents is the Empadronamiento. What is the Empadronamiento? The Empadronamiento is not a residency document. Don't be mistaken by that. It's not a document that also tells about your identity. It's a census certificate. And you can get it at your local town hall. And basically, it's a paper that says that you have been living in that place, in that address from that date. That is a very important document, and you need to get it as soon as possible when you come to Spain, because it will be one of the main proofs that you have later on, especially if your application falls onto the next year, that you've been living in Spain during 2020, and therefore you have some claim at that residency. That document is obtained, as I said, in the town hall and is presented alongside other documents. One of them, and the most convoluted one probably, is the sufficient means, the proof of sufficient means, right? This is not a document per se. It is a set of proof that you provide to the Spanish administration to say, hey, I am self-sustainable and I won't be a burden to the Spanish social security system, which is a bottom line. That's what they are looking for. They are not looking for de facto solvency, and in fact the requirements that they ask to EU nationals, which is the process that you're currently taking, because before 2021 you still have all the advantages in terms of residency application as any other EU national. This sufficient means in most of the areas vary from the 5,500 euros till the 6,000 euros in your account. There are other ways to prove them, of course, apart from just showing a bank statement with X amount of money and a bank certificate accounting for that you are the owner of that account. There are other ways, absolutely. For example, if you're actually working in Spain, you can just provide your employment contract specifying your salary, specifying your employer, address of employment, etc. Let's say that you're a pensioner. Then you can provide your S1 as well as your pension certificate. We do not recommend presenting only the S1 because in some offices they won't know exactly what it is right away, and they will think, oh, this is just a proof for access to healthcare. So we recommend bringing both every time that is possible to avoid confusion. It is always when working with the immigration office to play by the book, to bring each document that they ask, so nothing wrong happens. Because at the end of the day, sadly, UK national applications are just a very tiny part of their job, and they are not always updated with the latest rulings. They are not aware of what differences and nuances the procedure for UK nationals have, and they will just apply the general rule. And if the general rule is to present every document, just do that, and you can be calm that your residency application will be approved if everything is right. So later on, if you have more doubts about the sufficient means, the proof of sufficient means, you go ahead, leave a comment, ask your questions, and I'll be happy to answer. Oh, look, a question that we had about Empadronamiento is what do you need? Sorry, I missed that. But yeah, to get the Empodromiento, you don't just go to the town hall and say, hello, I want the Empadronamiento. No, you actually need to provide proof that you're living in the address you say you're living. So let's say that you came recently to Spain and you're just renting a place. So in this case, you need to provide a rental contract specifying the type of contract, which usually they will ask for in some places for a 6-month minimum, although that's not consistent across the territory. We will go back to this later. And with this rental contract, as well as your identity document, such as a passport, it doesn't need to be an NIE, that's very important. With that, you can already get your padron. Let's say that you're not renting. Let's say that you have your own house, summer house, or the house that you bought to continue living now in Spain. Then you can bring your property deeds, the document that tells that you are the owner of that house, as well as probably they will ask you some proof of paying the IBI, which is a document on the real estate property. But usually they just ask the property deeds, and that should be fine, as well as your passport. Always your passport. Remember that the residency application will provide you with a NIE, which is not a residency document. The NIE is the number that appears on your residency document, but it can also appear in other places. Let's say that you just come to Spain, you want to open a bank account, and they say, no, you need a NIE. They are not asking for a residency card in that case. They are just asking for this number, which is a tax ID number. So in this case, there is a separate procedure to obtain it. But I want to highlight that having this temporary NIE, let's say, it's not a mandatory step for anything that involves the residency process. You can work with your passport, and then once you obtain your residency card, then you will also have your NIE. So that's good to say, and it's very important to insist on those small difference between concepts, because a lot of people is confusing them. A lot of people call NIE to their green card, and then the officer at the police station will get confused, and nobody will know what they're talking about. So try to call things by their name. Green card or TIE, you can call them residency cards, and the little number that appears that starts with a letter, ends with another one, you can call that NIE, número de identidad de extranjero, number of foreigner's identity, basically. Now, another point that usually causes a lot of questions is how can prove my healthcare cover? I have sufficient means, but I don't know which type of healthcare would benefit me the most. Well, usually when we receive inquiries about healthcare coverage, how people can get their healthcare sorted or what they need to present, we work by elimination. For us, purchasing a private insurance is always the last option in case that person doesn't really have any other method. Let's start with employed people. Let's say that the applicant is employed and therefore it has a contract in Spain. That's very important. A contract in Spain with an affiliation number to the Social Security. This means that this person is contributing to the Social Security system, paying some taxes that come directly from their work. This means that they are automatically covered by the Social Security. So in this case, providing just your employment contract with a Spanish company and maybe a statement from your boss or the HR department certifying that you're contributing to the Social Security system will be enough. They will count you that you're covered by the Spanish system and no more questions will be asked. Now let's go to pensioners. Pensioners also have a very useful option, which is called the S1 form. What is the S1 form? Before I mention it as well, the people that have it will know what I'm talking about. If someone doesn't have it or has never seen one, will say what he's asking about. So the S1 form is a document that you can obtain from the NHS Overseas Healthcare Services that certifies that you can transfer your healthcare coverage from the UK to Spain. This what means? Means that the UK will effectively pay your healthcare in Spain and you will be covered by the Spanish public healthcare system, the Social Security. So when presenting the S1, a lot of questions are like, oh, but if I have to present my residency application, I'm not yet covered. What do I do? I have the S1 form, I requested it, but it's not yet registered. Do not worry about that. The immigration office knows about this, and you can present an unregistered S1 form as a proof of healthcare access. And the thing that you will need to do is right after you receive your approval, your positive resolution, and then you can get your fingerprints and finally obtain your card. Then you can register that S1 form with the Social Security system. A very common question that we receive from some pensioners is whether during this time that you are, let's say, waiting for your resolution till you get the card, how can you access the Spanish Social Security system? This is something we've been working for a while, asking. However, we don't have a direct answer, but we have kind of a patch on the wound, which would be requesting a IHIC card from the UK. If you have doubts on how to do that, you can write an inquiry to Age in Spain and we will immediately reply because it's a very easy process. The gov.uk website has its own section on how to request it, and that card, which is a European healthcare card like the ones we had before, this one will allow pensioners to be covered while their residency is being sorted out, while they are still not covered by the S1. Once you get the response from the immigration office, then you just need to take that S1 to your INSS office, which is the Instituto Nacional de Seguridad Social. They have offices everywhere, so you just need to find the closest one to where you live and register that S1 right there. And that will grant you the healthcare coverage that you need. That would be it. Now, what if you're not a pensioner? What if you're currently not working, but you've been living in Spain for a while? Well, in this case, there is a third option that is quite attractive, especially for people that is getting older or people that has some preconditions, which then that would make very difficult to find an insurance actually to sell you a policy, a good, at least a well-priced policy. So people that has been living in Spain for a while already, at least a year, they can request to subscribe to the social security system, the public healthcare from Spain, by paying every month into the system. This is called Convenio Especial. Okay, and it's managed in each region differently. You know that in Spain, some of the powers of the state are delegated to the autonomous regions. So you will see some strong inconsistencies regarding the application process to apply for this system, but the requirements and the fares are all the same at the same time. So on what consists this convenio especial? With this convenio especial, what you need to do is to basically prove that you've been living in Spain for at least a year before applying to this convenio. You will need to prove that you are not eligible to benefit from any other public healthcare system. So that might require you to get a legislation letter from the NHS saying that no, you cannot get, let's say, your pension, your healthcare exported, etc. And finally, it will require you in some provinces, in some regions, to not be also related in any way to the social security system. So to not benefit from any pension from Spain or currently access to the social security system in any way, like, for example, being employed. What are the fares? If your application goes successful, then the fares will be of 60 euros per month if you're under 65, or 157 euros per month if you're over 65. It's not precisely cheap, it's not precisely expensive in the same way if we compare it with, let's say, a private insurance policy. But the big advantage that this plan has is that they won't look at your preconditions, and at the same time you can secure yourself a very big network of hospitals that will accept you and treatment in case you need anything, etc. And finally, if the last option in terms of healthcare coverage, if you're, let's say, not employed, but you're not yet getting a UK state pension and you haven't lived in Spain for a full year, then at least until you make for the first year, we would recommend go directly to a private insurance company and request a special plan for the residency, which is very important because when you're proving your healthcare access to the immigration office, one of the main points that they will ask is for this insurance policy to be equivalent to the Spanish healthcare system. This involves a very important word. There is a very important word that you need to see in that policy, which is copago, no copago. So without copayment. Usually insurance companies already have packages adapted for these cases because the client that is applying for residency is a common type of client. So they will know what you are asking for if you need to request that. Okay, so don't be worried. I would recommend a Spanish insurance companies because they already know what the immigration office usually wants. And yeah, like you should go for that if there is no other option available, right? So let's see if you have any questions so far. 1 second. Okay. Okay, so I have some questions that we've received before the live event. So let's start with the one of Joanne. She asks, on the subject of 90 days per 180 days for non-residents, are there actually any measures in place to count these days, or could people enter and leave as per now anyway? Well, we're asking, this is kind of a question like the tricky question where how can we cheat the system, right? In theory, we don't yet have information on how the Spanish authorities will control the traffic of UK nationals coming and leaving Spain. But common sense tells that if the UK for now becomes a third country to the Schengen area, we can assume that the first thing that will be most noticeable for UK travelers is that they will have to go through the customs control. Usually in airports you have like the EU customs, which is much less invasive. And then you have the third country customs control, and there they will check your passport and they will stamp it every time you enter and leave the Schengen area. So that's one of the classic systems on how to control people that come and goes. Of course, as you know, within Europe there is freedom of movement, although now with COVID everything is changing so fast. But in theory, no one will really control movement within the European Union. However, we will never recommend surpassing the limits stated by the law, because that could mean that if you get caught, you could get banned, you could get an entry ban, or you could lose any residency progress that you had so far. So we always recommend always go by the book, respect the limits, and if you need to live in Spain, get your residency. Another question that we received before is here. Is there an appeal process if you're refused residencia? Okay, yes, there is. And we were working on really today on creating a guide on how to appeal. This appealing process works this way. Imagine that you present your documents, you get your residency, sufficient proof of means, everything, you send it, and then you receive a notification that your residency has been rejected. Or something that could also happen is that after 3 months, they don't say anything to you. In which case, by law, that means it's called an administrative silence, which means that your application was automatically rejected. In this case, you have the option to apply within 30 months after you receive that notification. You can appeal to that process. And while you can do it on your own, really, there is no need to use a lawyer, because the process is administrative, it's not the judiciary. That's very important. We recommend seeking some advice. It works in the following way, okay? You basically need to gather some documents that prove that the reasons of the rejection are wrong. Let's say that they declare that your sufficient means are not enough. Then and you disagree. Let's say that you presented a bank statement with 6,000 euros on the account. You're just one person. You don't have dependents, and you also presented a bank certificate. No one said anything about documents missing, so you don't have it. You can then appeal for it, and you need to get those documents together, all the evidence that everything you did is right, and then you need to write down an appealing letter. And that's the complicated part for UK nationals, because if you don't have a very deep understanding of the Spanish administrative language, that can dictate a lot the outcome of that appeal. So even if you can get the help of a lawyer or at least a Spanish speaker to present in a very ordinated way, almost in legal terms, how the process went, what's the rejection and why you think you should have not been rejected, then you can present that, and the resolution should be issued on the next 30 days. Another option, in case you get rejected, is to appeal again in case you notice that you did a mistake. But usually when there are mistakes, you get a notification letter and with a 10-day margin to present everything else. So I hope I answered your question. Let's go to the next. Look, Paul Borton is asking a question right now. Just talked to the UK Department of Work and Pensions regarding my state pension. I am 66 at the end of this month. Pension sorted. Requested the S1 for me and my non-pensioner husband. Please, can you confirm that after we have registered our S1s, we will both continue after 31st December 2020 to be entitled to free NHS healthcare when visiting England? The DWP was suggesting not, but the UK government guidance I have read says we are. Confused. Okay. I hope to not leave you even more confused, but this is an issue that we've worked on a lot, believe me, Paul, and for a long time as well, because there was no clarity, there was inconsistency between administrations. Um, Bottom line, yes, you will be covered in the UK by the NHS, even if you are currently using an S1 to get healthcare cover in Spain. Okay? An absolute yes. Now, we recommend that you always have a copy of your S1 with you when visiting your GP in the UK, when accessing primary, secondary care, because that will be kind of the document that states your relationship with both systems, with the NHS and the Social Security. But yes, I want to tell you that you are covered, you and your partner will be covered with your S1s, so there is nothing to be worried about, okay? Next question. Gail Spoor. A friend has had their Spanish residency for less than 5 years, so not yet permanent resident, but has been stuck in the UK for much of this year because of health issues and COVID. If they end up being out of Spain for 6 months, will they lose their residency or will the rules be relaxed to COVID? Okay. Hello, Gail. Thank you for coming in and leaving your comment. I think I have good news for your friend. While it is true that temporary residents, which the ones that last for 5 years, one of the rules is that you cannot leave the country for more than 6 months per 12-month period. There is also a list of exceptions where this rule does not apply. One of them is health issues as well as COVID, okay? So what you need to do is what your friends need to do, when your friend's card is going to expire, so if it was issued 5 years ago, it will be from the date it was issued, the same date 5 years later, you will have up to 90 days to renew your card, this time to a permanent residency. So when you're doing that process, you need to present to the immigration office and the police the proof of those reasons that led you to stay away from Spain for more than 6 months per year. Let's say that it's a hospital certificate, some kind of letter, official letter stamped from the hospital or from a doctor, something that can justify. Just to inform a bit everyone, some of the exceptions that involve these rules is, for example, also giving birth. That is an exemption to this rule. Military duties, that would be another one. Health issues, as Gail's friend has. So I hope I answered your question. And yes, this is something that we also consulted the immigration office really recently because it was a concern for a lot of people. So yeah, I hope that your question is answered. I'm glad we helped, Paul. Yeah, sometimes they just don't know what is going on exactly, because just imagine we're living a period where confusion is the rule, right? We have COVID from one side, we have the EU exit happening, each country has different rulings, and Spain usually is not on the top of their priority list. So sometimes the person behind the phone is just overwhelmed by the information. But hey, here's where Agent Spain comes in, where the FCD also comes in. So yeah, hope we could. We're glad we could help. Let's go to another question that was sent before to us from Chris. Will passports change? Ours is due to expire in October 2021. Well, we do not manage passports precisely, but I believe the UK is issuing a new passport, which is black. That I don't know if that color was a success in the UK, but if I remember correctly, that's happening. It's a non-EU passport. And yes, if your passport is due to expire, I really recommend changing to the new one whenever the period that allows you to do so starts, because from the experience that I had with some inquirers, changing the passport in the UK is quite time consuming, so better do it sooner than later. Another question here. Hi, my name is Glins. She lives in Altia. I am 70 and I have a green residencia for 10 years. Do I have to change it for the new one now? Or should I do it after the rush in the new year at Alicante? Well, the most important here for Glins is to make sure that your residency is not expired. If your residency is, let's say that you have a residency for 10 years and it's not 10 years since you actually got it, then you're good to go. You can go into 2021 without worrying at all. Just keep in mind that changing this card, this paper card that sometimes can be a little bit too flimsy and can get dirty, can even break, and you cannot plastify it, by the way, because then it won't be accepted. It is quite recommended to change it for the new tier, because you will get a plastic biometric card that is accepted as an ID document, which is quite handy. And you will also have the small little line on your card that says that you are benefited from the withdrawal agreement. So if you have the chance and the free time to do it now, why not? Just book an appointment. It's quite a straightforward process, the exchange, not so much the residency. So I would say go for it. And if you have any problems, let us know, write us an inquiry, etc. Okay, let's go to another question. Here, can I obtain the TIE next year? There are no appointments at the moment. I already have residency. Kind of the same as what I said to Glins. You're not in a rush to get your TIE because you're already a resident. Remember, residents have their residency rights secured. Okay, what is most important right now is to becoming a resident in 2020, or at least to start the residency process in 2020. That's the most important thing. If you're already a residency, you have nothing to worry about. You just have this process where you can get the plastic biometric card, which, as I said before, it's useful. I recommend it because then you can breathe, forget about it. You have your little statement that you're covered by the withdrawal agreement, and you're done. So yes, I would recommend that. Another question. Oh, and this is about a relevant topic for anyone that is living in the Canaries, in the Balearic Islands, or even in Ceuta and Melilla, about the discounts when traveling to the mainland Spain or between islands. Okay, as you know, the UK nationals that live in the islands of Spain, there is something called Certificado de Viajes, okay, which is basically a certificate issued by your town hall that grants you some discounts when traveling between islands or going to Spain for a visit, etc. This changes a bit now that we're going into 2021. What is happening is that UK nationals won't be anymore considered EU citizens, and therefore the regulation regarding these discounts changes a bit. From 2021, people will only get these discounts, UK nationals will only be eligible to get these discounts if they are permanent residents. So if you have a temporary residency card, you won't be able to get this discount, this certificate that gives you the discounts, until you update your card or upgrade your card to a permanent residency. So if you also have been living here for quite a while, you have the temporary card that lasts for 5 years and does not say permanente, that's another reason to change and to get the biometric tier, to get those discounts that now will go away for some people. And I know they are quite substantial, so I hope it does not pose a problem for anyone. We have another question from Dionia Rochawat. I hope I pronounced that okay. My husband, who doesn't use Facebook, has started the residency process but was asked to supply further documents, Empadronamiento and Pasaporte Completo. We suppose that means every single page. When trying to access the Adjuntar Documentación on the sede electrónica, we have a digital certificate. We got this message after completing correctly the fields. No se ha encontrado ningún expediente con los criterios seleccionados. So a technical glitch. Is this not resolved within the 10 days he was given? What can we do? Okay. First of all, and I know this sounds very typical and very, and the answer that is kind of escape, check that you've introduced every detail right when checking. I believe that there are a couple of ways to check your expediente. One is directly with a digital certificate, and the other one is putting your number of expediente or writing down your NIE if you have one, and then the date of birth of the person that is applying and the date the documents were presented, so the date you did the application. Make sure that that everything is correct in that matter, and if the formulario, as it says in the website, accepts your request and lets you go forward and it still says documentación no encontrada, that could mean two things. I don't know when you presented the documents. For example, let's say it was past Friday. I don't know. Let me know in the comments when it was so I can have an idea. But sometimes the system works, well, the system and the personnel from the Extranjería offices work a bit slower. So maybe you received that notification, but the actual expediente is not yet uploaded. Again, those technical issues are a bit complicated to solve right away because I would need to see to have an idea of what's going on exactly. But yeah, I would recommend to make sure everything that you write down is right. I believe when you presented the application, you received a recibo de presentación. There you have the information that is being considered by the immigration office. One option that you have, in case you know what items you need to send, instead of presenting it online, what you could do is go to a general registry and send the documents physically to the immigration office. Okay? Explaining the process now is quite dense, so I would recommend you to send us an inquiry to or a message in Facebook, and we will answer to that. Okay? Okay. Yes, he applied on Friday. Yeah, it is likely that they just didn't update it yet. My suggestion is to wait 48 hours. Let's see if it still says nothing, because yeah, it's actually quite normal. Depends on the office. Which office is it? In which province do you live, Dionea? Because in some provinces they work really slow. In other ones it's instant. So again, it depends. But yeah, and if you need further help after a couple of days, you have no news, it still says no información, write to us and we will see what we can do, okay? Okay, next question. Jennifer Gonzalez. I pronounced it in the English way, right? Uh, I've had my residency since 2014, but it expired in September 2019. I applied for the TIE this September. Once the 40 to 45 days waiting period ended, I tried to make an appointment to collect the TIE, during which time I received a call from let me read it. I received a call from Social Security telling me that my S1 was out of date and I hadn't registered with a doctor, so I needed to acquire another S1 and that my application will be baja. I assume they give you a baja from the Social Security, right? My question is, has my application for the TIE been cancelled, meaning that I will have to start all over again, or can I make the appointment to collect it? I am 74 and I live in Mallorca. The appointment to exchange the green card for the TIE is done integrally at the police. And that's not a process where they check your healthcare cover or other requirements. So if you're already a resident, excuse me, a resident, the process is quite simple. Present your residency certificate, the old one, present the model EX23, which is the paper that you need to fill in with all your details, and present also the fee that you need to pay in order to proceed with the exchange. I believe, and copies of everything, that's for sure. I believe that that's everything you will need. And if you are not eligible for the exchange, they will tell it to you right on the spot. So probably the best way to see how this will work out is just by going to the actual police station on the appointment and seeing if they can do the exchange. I don't see a reason why not. I think the exchange and sorting out the S1 are completely different processes. I think you can do both on the side, and I encourage you to do so. Okay. Oh, Dionea, you're from Girona. Okay, so in that case, look, I have precisely a person that applied to Girona on last Friday, and they got the expediente already. So if you, again, if in a couple of days you don't see anything, I would not recommend writing to them because they won't answer. I believe there are not even proper contact details on any part of Google to the Girona office unless you have a contact inside the office. So yes, I would propose to send them written down because the Girona office is overwhelmed. There is a lot of UK nationals that were not registered, and there are only 10 to 11 people working, maybe now even less because of Christmas. So, yeah, like it's normal that they get all these delays. I'm sorry to hear that as well. Let's see if we have other questions. Oh, Gail Spoor, another question. I exchanged my green residency card for the new TIE card in Valencia in July, but the new one was one of those issued with the wrong wording. It says I am a family member of an EU citizen rather than a resident in my own right. I've been told I can go back and exchange it for a one with the correct wording, but do I need to make an appointment to do this, or can I just go back to the office and that issued it? If I need to make an appointment online, what option do I select? Okay, first of all, Gail, I want to tell you that this card with the wrong wording is completely legal and working. So effectively, you don't need to change it, really. Now, I understand that you want to change it and you get a proper one because God knows what the future will bring to us, right? So in this case, to exchange it, the process is exactly the same than you did when exchanging it for the previous green card. You need to, sadly, book an appointment again. However, without the pressure that is something urgent, just find a date that works for you. There is no rush because this card is valid. And you will need to present another EX23. And you will need probably to select the option that relates to being the card broken or having a mistake, something like that. And something important is that you won't have to pay the fee, okay? So whenever you go to the appointment, you don't need to bring this TASA 790 that they usually ask. And yeah, but you're not in a rush really. You need just to select the same appointment option and go to the police station and request for the exchange, bring the incorrect card. Well, it's correct, but it has the incorrect wording, right? So bring that card and just do the process and pick up your card later on. Okay. We have downloaded the justificante, but there were 2 documents missing, so we were trying to upload using the digital signature. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Diania, this morning the Sede Electronica was not even working. So you can see what's the reliability of the system. I always give them that for the 48-hour advantage. Let's see if they react, and if not, I start taking action. Probably starting the process again, uploading the documents again would be the most direct option, and this time making sure that you upload the Empadronamiento. I have not much more to say, honestly. Sorry that I cannot help on this. 1 second, I will drink water. Okay, and we can go with the final question. Who wants to send a question? If no one sends it in the chat, I will read one of the questions that we received. We have a list of them, so I don't have a short gauge of those. Any last minute question before we finish this live event? The rest, Dionea. Okay, it seems no one's commenting for now. Everything's quite clear. So let's go with the last one. Hi, I'm a British citizen and I'm marrying a non-EU person. I have the TIE. Will I have any problems getting them residency in 2021? Thank you. Well, that's a good question. Person that asked question 2 days ago. So, if you're a British citizen, okay, and let's say that you're marrying a non-EU person, you have your residency sorted out, so 2021 is non-issue at all. You're good to go. Yes, you can get them residency if they apply as your family member. However, usually before we did this as EU family members because of course UK nationals were EU citizens as well. This is not the case anymore. However, if you have the card, the current tier that says that you're covered by the withdrawal agreement, then you benefit from a series of rights that UK nationals that come later next year won't. One of those rights is to bring your family members with you and apply as if they were EU family members, but instead they will be UK national family members that benefit from the withdrawal agreement. Okay, and there is a specific form for this, which is called the EX21. With that form, you can get your family members from third countries, even if you're a UK national, if you have the tier, to get their residency in Spain in easier terms than their general regime. Okay, and well, with this, we will wrap up today's session. I'm glad we had so many interactions in the comments, and I'm glad that well, everyone found their questions solved. I'm sure some people will see the video later and will come up with next questions, but well, we will be celebrating more of this Q&A that they will be announced very soon, the dates. So if you stay up to date with our Facebook page, make sure to give us a like to never miss anything. Also, today, actually, Age in Spain, we just launched a new service called the Friend Line, which is a free of charge service. The only included cost is the cost that you need for the calls. This service consists on if you have a person that feels lonely, that is a bit old, that usually when you get older, sometimes you lose friends and you need some company, you can call to this phone number and talk for a while with one of our staff and talk about what's going on, any topic that you want, so you have some company, or if you know from someone that might need some company as well, make sure to let them know that we have this service. We remain at your disposal for any questions that you may have now or in the future. Remember, you can call to us, you can write us an email, you can fill in an inquiry form, you can even write a Facebook message and we will later send you an email. Remember to leave your contact details though. And thank you for coming and see you next time.